about what you're passionate about, you want their full and best attention possible. So Kendall's getting up here and talking about it, and it's really close to her heart, and it's really respectful and be really kind if you listen to her and really give a heart to it. So we need everyone to sit down, don't get too comfortable because you're not going to be sitting down for too long. It's not a long speech, but sit down and give her all of your attention possible because this is really scary and awesome. So.
And this is a really good subject to listen to, so it's good to listen to.
And if there's not enough room, there's room over there and room, I know, so just find somewhere to sit and remember the silent auction and food and t-shirts.
Yay!
Go Kendall!
I'm Kendall Gilfillan. I'm a junior at Brentwood High, and I'm just going to tell you about why we're here tonight. Edmund Burke once said that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Many people today are under the impression that slavery ended in 1865 with Abraham Lincoln and the 13th Amendment. In truth, this is not the case. Nearly 2 centuries following the end of slavery, millions of people across the world are still held against their will and exploited as sex workers or forced laborers. We're not talking about sweatshop workers or people who are just poor. We're talking about people who are controlled by violence, who cannot walk away, who are being held against their will, and who are being paid virtually nothing. Children, often only 8 or 9, are pledged by their parents to factory owners. And once the victims fall into the hands of the owner, they are often seen as disposable people. For example, in 1850, a slave in the southern United States cost the equivalent to $40,000 today. Today, the average cost of a slave is $90. If slaves get sick, injured, outlive their usefulness, or become troublesome, the slaveholder dumps them or kills them. There is an estimated 12.3 million people in forced labor at any given time. As of 1999, there was a reported 20 million people bonded in slavery, and by 2004, that number reached to where there were more slaves than were seized from Africa during 4 centuries of transatlantic slave trade that we learn about in history class. Government corruption has fueled modern slavery by allowing it to go unpunished. In Burma and North Korea, slavery is still state-sponsored, and in Sudan, slavery actually began under the Prime Minister. Human trafficking is a threatening issue that is beginning to surface more and more. Every year, thousands of uneducated, orphaned, abandoned, and destitute girls and young women from across Asia, the Pacific, and Africa are given false promises of jobs, trafficked across borders, and then sold into brothels in urban centers. In a government-sponsored brothel in Chiang Mai, young women sit in a glass showcase wearing a heart-shaped price tag, stating how much she would cost. Systems such as these often go unpunished and unacknowledged. In Pakistan, an estimated 200,000 Bangladeshi women had been forced into prostitution, yet not a single trafficker had been arrested or convicted that year. Modern-day slavery has many various effects worldwide, whether major or minor. Some effects include depressed wages, diminished productivity, and an undereducated generation. Sex trafficking has also been found to directly affect America, which may come as a shock to some of you. Periodic raids of brothels reveal the existence of underground prostitution, especially among women trafficked across the border from Southeast Asia or Latin America. Modern slavery has indirect effects in America as well that many people aren't aware of. Cocoa that is harvested by slaves in the Ivory Coast finds its way into the brands we love, such as Hershey's chocolate. Charcoal that is used to produce steel and weave carpets in India all reach our stores and homes. The global AIDS pandemic can be traced back to sex trafficking as well. A study of women and girls in East Africa revealed widespread rape, physical abuse, sexually transmitted infections, and HIV and AIDS. In fact, 4 out of 5 trafficked women in brothels carry AIDS, and even in well-kept, expensive ones, 1 out of 5 women do. There are billions of people in the world, and millions are being deceived, held against their will, and forced to work under tragic conditions and circumstances. This issue has lingered beneath the surface for far too long due to government corruption, and its story is long overdue. There are far too many devastating statistics and violations to go unnoticed any longer. It only takes one look into these invisible people's lives for one to realize the severity of this issue. The effects on American life have been made clear, so now the only question is how we as Americans can affect their lives. There are several ways to do this, but the best way is to raise awareness so that people can no longer neglect these people. We're here tonight so that we can all do our part and educate our friends and family on the horrors of modern-day slavery. Going around now are chain links. Most of the links contain a fact about modern-day slavery or human trafficking. We simply ask that as the chain goes by you, you tear off a link of the chain and read your fact. But here's the catch. Not every link has a fact. After the end of the concert, your job is to find those that don't have the fact or the knowledge and educate them by sharing your fact with them. Think of this as your first step in breaking the chains that are bonding these people to slavery and setting them free. It's as simple as sharing facts. If you feel compelled, we've set up stations where you can call our senators outside in the cafe. Paper and pens are coming around now so that you can write a letter to our senators as well. In case you didn't know, they're required to read every handwritten letter mailed to them. There's a prompt that's going to come up on the screen, and I just want to remind you guys that there's t-shirts for sale in the cafe, and 100% of tonight's sales go to International Justice Mission. Edmund Burke said the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. We can no longer sit and watch these people's freedom be taken away, and we can no longer ignore their desperate cry for help. The simplest things can send out the loudest message and start the most effective chain reaction, and we can start one tonight. So thank you guys, and once you get the paper and pens, if you can just take a minute and write these letters to our senators. They're required to read it, and they can make a difference for us and help in the chain reaction. So thanks.